when it stream, it could get into some trouble. So
Okay, no worries.
So are we going to talk about AI and astrology?
Absolutely. That's the plan. And I'm curious to hear Robert's concepts around the artificial intelligence side of it and how it kind of like works together, I guess. And then your side of just like the pure astrology. And maybe we can walk away with like a reading or something. I don't know. Or do we have to pay?
No, you don't have to pay. I
Okay.
went to it today, actually. I went to the app and was messing with it a little bit because I hadn't in a while. And it seems like it keeps advancing.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It keeps getting better. I played with it at first when Robert had sent the demo, and it was pretty cool. I was like, kicking it around and so forth. But as of today, it's honestly like been blowing my mind.
Yeah, has it been giving you accurate predictions? That's so cool.
Yeah, I would say so. I just like the new point system. I feel like I'm earning something, and then I can redeem the points. So it feels a little bit more like a video game, and I like that.
I
All
don't know
right.
if I have the newer version. What do
Um,
yeah,
I think right now the stores has the latest version, and I think we are about to start. Right now, I think we are already live. Let me double check. Right. So, so whatever we're talking right now, I think is went to the YouTube already. Let me see. Even though they don't see our face, if everything is going correctly, I don't know. This is this live stream. Every time I have to. Yes, I think it's live. It is live,
Here, let
and
me. Okay, I'll go to YouTube real quick just to check.
yeah, it's live. Right now, I just sending the covers, but I think they will also see hear the voice because I don't know how to turn it off. Whatever we are saying is actually broadcasting. Yeah, awesome.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
So the idea, so basically, I get some expert of the live streaming. They basically give me some good ideas that. So actually, it's not really matter for the live stream itself, but it's really better to do a little bit of editing afterward, because most of the people are going to listen to the playback. So yeah, so we can have a KO start. I think it's right now is time. So let's get started.
Yeah,
So yeah,
we're
so
ready.
ready. Yeah.
100%.
Now everybody see our face on the screen. I think.
Okay,
Yep.
now I'm gonna get nervous, but I tweeted it out, so we can hopefully somebody sees that.
Yeah. So hello everyone. It's really excited to be here, and today I have two guests. Actually, I have three guests. Right. So I have Lydia. I said the human astrologer, and also I have Astro, the AI astrologer, and I have Wassel. How about you guys introduce yourself? What do you do?
Um,
I
You know.
you can go first, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Lydia. I am a professional astrologer. I've been reading for about 7 years, studying probably for about 13, roughly. I've been beta testing their app, which I think is cool. It has so much potential, and I am excited to hear about what Robert has to say.
Awesome. So let me see. So how the Astro introduce herself, if she can say it.
I am Lydia, an AI-powered astrologist created by a team of experts in astrology and artificial intelligence. The details of my creation are a bit mysterious, but I am here to provide you with personalized astrological insights. Now let's dive into your chart and explore the celestial influences shaping your life.
Cool. That's her introduction. What's your
I love
Respect.
it.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm Wassel. I'm with the Fourth Society. I'm basically all the Fourth Society, and it's an honor to be here. And I'm excited to talk about artificial intelligence and astrology in and of itself. I have no expertise, so I'm not too sure how I found myself here, but I'm thankful.
My question is, what is Fourth Society? And I think your Fourth Society name fit perfectly for today's talk because it's like a mysterious.
I was wondering about that when I saw his name on Twitter like months ago. I was like, what does that mean?
It's I mean the goal or the intentions of it was to create like a society or I don't know. It's like I feel like we're moving into I don't know, a new age of time, and with every new age comes a new kind of society and the way we think about society. And so the goal was to find like-minded people like yourself. So I guess we are expanding, but for the most part, it's still only me, to say the least. So it's a society of one. But I think that's what's cool about today is, you can have a society of one. So it's plural, it's individual, and it is supposed to be mysterious. It's like, you know, I don't know. It's like I guess that's the best way I can say it. And it's still kind of becoming more. It's supposed to be like also a media brand. And I thought, I wanted to not combine myself with enterprises or corporations, but with people. So if you got, people together, you're a society. And that's kind of the idea of it. And four, just because I think four is very important. And we're like fourth industrial revolution and everything else. So I was like, might as well, this is the fourth society.
Cool,
But yeah.
cool.
You know,
Yeah.
it's interesting because from the standpoint of numerology, 4 actually involves community building. So it's cool to see that. Like it makes sense with his kind of vision.
Sick. Okay, I didn't even know that. That's kind of cool how things just happen as they are. I think I also read that the most like elemental compounds or bonds that an element can have is four. That's why like we're carbon based, because that's like the best element to like bond together other elements. So I was like four as well for that. So that's interesting. Did not know that.
Yeah, so the story is why we decided to live stream today. Usually I do not take Friday, because last time I asked Lydia, so since you are astrologer, right? So how about finding the best time? So she said, yeah, let's do Friday, right? So apparently, so the AI also agreed with that, right? Because I
Today's
asked.
astrology suggests that the planetary positions indicate a dynamic and expressive energy in the air. It could be a favorable day for live streaming, as long as you tap into your authentic voice and connect with your audience. How do you feel about sharing your thoughts and ideas through a live stream today?
Yeah, it's cool, right? So this time the human and AI have a consensus that today is a good day for live streaming. So I'm so relieved. Yeah, so I think I would like to share the story that how we met, right? So I remember. So that is a tweet I just tweeted this day today. So I digged out this tweet that you shared on December 30, 2021. So you're talking about imagine there's some AI and astrology work together. Lydia, would you like to share some story of how do you get this idea and what your thought at that time? That's a very, very long time ago, right? At the time, OpenAI is not yet popular, right?
Yeah, that's like the craziest part about it. 2021 was when I made that tweet, and that was on
X or Twitter at the time, but I had been messing around with AI for years. Like I showed you today, I went back and I found a post where I was talking about it in 2018, and I kept trying to teach it astrology, but I couldn't get past the coding.
And so when you messaged me, I was like so excited. I'm like, they're finally like realizing this is what we need to do.
Yeah, right now I'm show the screen of your tweet since year 2018, right? So that's a long time ago.
Yeah,
that is a long time ago. That's ahead of its time.
I believe at that time, OpenAI is just haven't had the breakthrough yet, right? So at years 18, I think they're still working on the first GPT or GPT-2, and it's still pretty dumb at the time.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how much it has transformed and changed. Because I remember like testing it, and I was testing AI before that point too. It had to have been one of the first models of GPT, and it was like it's wild to see how that in comparison to Chat GPT-4, like it's leaps and bounds.
Exactly. Yeah. So many has been changed. So when you first see those AI and I believe at the time you were already working on the astrologist, right? Astrology. And What do you think? Do you think what's in your mind? You think it's going to be some kind of a assistant that help you, or you think that could be potentially a risk or a challenge for this whole astrology? What do you think? Would really like to hear from you from the astrologist side, right? Not from AI side, right?
I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, and I said, there's like two factors to this. I'm not concerned about AI because it will never be able to match my intuition. Even if it can do predictive work very, very well, it still doesn't have that intuitive human component to it. It's not clairvoyant, it's not clairsentient, it can't tap into any of that stuff. But the other like side of it for me is I feel like if you can't beat them, join them. Like I know this is the future. I've known it was the future since 2018 before that point. I've seen it coming. And so I want to be a part of it. I want to assist in training it. I want to eventually allow somebody to potentially bot me. I want to do these things because this is what is to come. We can't stop it. So we have to either join it or we may potentially at some point lose our jobs.
That's cool.
Well said, yeah.
Yeah, so from the what we have today, right? So probably not every audience everyone in the audience understand how the OpenAI works, right? Especially these days, a lot of people talking about ChatGPT, OpenAI, and especially last week, OpenAI just actually this week, this Monday, they have a big update. There's a lot of improvement on the technology, and there's a lot of buzzword. And when I listen to different people talking about AI, right? So I can see like two divided voice, right? Some of them are thinking AI is a risk. It is going to have a lot of threats. But some others think AI is so powerful and that they can do anything. But actually, it's also not right? So right now today, especially this large language model, right? So the AI we're talking about for the astrology here is mostly related to large language model. So basically, it's still a statistics model that is kind of predict on whatever book, whatever article this AI model has been trained. I believe everybody, did you guys heard about this kind of a joke in the past? Say, if you put a monkey, right, in a box with a typewriter. I believe this is a very old joke, right? The monkey will going to randomly jump around. But if you give enough time, give the monkey enough time, so the monkey could definitely become a Shakespeare. One of the monkey, right, could create a Shakespeare. Right? So that sounds make a lot of sense, but it's actually probably needed millions or tens of million years, right? I think that right now for the large language model, is basically the AI is basically like that monkey, right? so essentially the AI is like the monkey. It's randomly generating all of the different kind of things. However, that monkey is smarter. Is not going to completely randomly generate, right? So it's going to find out what's next based on the prediction, and how to predict that. One important prediction is based on the training. The training work is basically all those books, all those poems, everything that it had read before, right? So this is one part. The other part, so imagine like the monkey also have a monitor monkey, right? So one monkey is typing, the other monkey can watch and give it some feedback. Hey, this looks like a poem, right? So that one is not looks like. Right? So because that monkey also trained about a lot of kind of books, articles. And he have this kind of sense. This looks like a book, right? And then there comes somebody, for example, is we as a user. So we write something as a prompt. We prompt, say, hey, you should write a poem about the astrology, right? So then the monitor monkey, we're going to watching on all of those generation and give the prediction and evaluate it. This is actually something like a poem, and also like it's related to astrology. And finally, it's going to give you one of the answers. So the answer is a little bit random, But because it has been trained with so many books, so many articles, and it also kind of based on your prompt, it's going to give you something that appear to be very much related to your prompt, and also related to all those books and articles it has learned, right? So that's how large language model works. From my point of view, I don't think it has enough intelligence yet, but it's kind of give us the illusion that it is intelligent, right?
I was just going to ask, Robert, does the AI get more intelligent, like just over time with more data, or are there certain things that need to be added to it? Like, I don't know, like, does it need to be updated? Kind of like how we see GPT-3 to GPT-4. If we say we never updated GPT-4 again, would it get smarter with just more data, or is there something we have to add to it and keep adding to it? And what is that? Like, what even makes GPT-4 like a next level compared to GPT-3? That's something that I was always curious about.
Yeah, so first of all, so to make it more intelligent or feel more intelligent, right? So there's several different directions. I believe in the past few months, there's more research and more data has been released. People are knowing it better and better. One thing that is a lot of people believe that if you can train it with more parameters, right? You always see there's models or like a 70B. What is 70B? There's a 70 billion parameters has been used for training, right? So the more data you can feed for the AI for training, the better from the statistical point of view, the better that's going to have a more thing to reference to, right? So that will appear to be more intelligent. So this is something important. But recently there is another article. I think that article is by Microsoft. That's a paper by Microsoft. It listed a few parameters about the OpenAI's model, and people surprised to find that the ChatGPT's parameters is actually less than GPT 3.5, which basically gives some people some surprise. So there potentially is not necessarily the more parameters the better. I think from this point of view, it also makes sense. There's a people use a distilled model to compare to this. So imagine that if you keep training, keep learning, but if you learn everything about garbage, right? You're not reading Shakespeare's. You're just reading some random internet articles, and then training all of those will not help you to become a writer similar to Shakespeare, right? So another very interesting concept recently people are talking about is called RAG. It's basically a retrieval augmented generation, right? So I think probably we should not care about R, retrieval. We care about the A, is augmented generation. So augmented is basically so for the the astrology app we are building. So that's exactly the augmented generation. What does that mean? Because I believe there's a lot of books about astrology, right? So today's most of the large language model, it already read a lot of books about astrology. But imagine for the AI, what's interesting is it's read a lot of books about astrology. Some of them saying astrology is so nice, it's so good, right? It's so accurate and predict. And I believe there are also a lot of books will say astrology is completely fake. It's not real science, right? It's purely random. So imagine as AI, it cannot make its own decisions. Let's say it read 10 books about astrology. Another 10 books say astrology is fake, is not real science, right? And what to do, right? So because itself does not have the mind. But now when you do give it something and let it augment, say, hey, now I need you AI to be an astrologer, right? Forget about anybody blame on astrology. just to focus on you are an astrologer, right? And also the AI itself does not. The AI today is very bad at at calculating, right? So for the astrology, you need to know, the position, the longitude, the latitude of the person, the date of birth, the place of birth. It also need to know the planet's position. All of those kind of calculation, today's AI is not good at, right?
Yeah, it's not, no.
Yeah, but computer
Gotcha.
right? Computer can do that. So what essentially for Astro is actually taking using computing, taking a traditional computing model, use a real-time planet information. Some of this data is kind of adjusted with NASA's data, and to modeling the universe, modeling all those kind of planet, and then mapping to the ancient astrology theory, and then feed those data back to large language model. And the large language model is basically augmented by those data, by those calculations. Then it's tried to learn from all those kind of astrology books and try to predict what's going on. Right? So that's how it works.
Gotcha. That's honestly super sick. I didn't know. I think I remember you alluding to it that it does use maybe NASA's I don't know, astronomy coordinations and so forth. How this is something I always wanted to ask, say, like a real astrologer, how important is it to know all that stuff to its specifics? Because kind of before coming to AI Stro, I never really peered into astrology. I mean, I knew about it and so forth, but it was cool to just finally get some answers immediately to me. It's kind of hard, going on the internet. And, kind of like what Robert was saying, somebody over here has one opinion about it.
Yeah.
Someone else has another opinion. And you almost don't know which reading is the one that you should take with you, or the reading that you should kind of give your hat off to, so to speak. And that's something I was just curious maybe to ask you, Lydia. What do you use, and what do you think are the most important parameters for being an astrologist?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think that's probably no, it's a great question. I think it's probably very personal to the astrologer. But yeah, I calculate things like to the minute. Like I give people exact time frames of when things are going to occur. And it does matter. Like your birthday matters. Even being off, 10, 15 minutes matters. And the ability to predict things for you. But it is interesting that you did mention that about kind of getting like various different readings, because that's human, right? Like human is going to be very different, but I wonder about AI in that instance, like how it takes all of those minds and merges them together and kind of finds like a similar, yeah.
It's like a collective conscience. So I wonder if maybe that's why I like AI a little bit more sometimes, where I feel like I'm getting not just one person's opinion, but a million people's opinions. And so I don't know if maybe that's why I liked it a little bit more, but then again, I've never really met an astrologer. So.
Right. Yeah. I was, I want to ask Robert a question about this, because I was really wondering about this. Does this software, I don't know the technical kind of beyond AI, but does this software get to know the users specifically and kind of create a personality based or a profile based off of them?
Yeah, right now, so our app Astro choose not to. Astrology. So a lot of people, include myself, thinking that the astrology data is something that it's kind of privacy, right? If some of my detailed data get leaked by others, some others could use my data to do something to take advantage of myself, right? That is not something I want. As the background, I worked for ArcBlock. So ArcBlock is building the decentralized applications. So decentralization is always something that I want to keep in mind whenever I build anything, right? So part of the decentralization is make sure that the users have the complete control of their identity, of their private data. So for this kind of astrology application, we try to make sure that all those kind of users' private data is only located on the phone itself, right? It does not send all the data to the OpenAI. Even when we use OpenAI API, we have to send some data to the servers, OpenAI servers. But we try to anonymize that, so the user's name, user detail information is not mixed to send to the servers. We use the DID, which is a kind of a hash number, so nobody know what that means and what that related to, right? And also we try to kind of send to multiple different requests, and we break down things into different requests. So from the OpenAI side point of view, it's just to see a bunch of those prompts related to different IDs. It has no idea which one, who is who, right?
I actually kind of enjoy that a little bit more, because I feel like when AI creates a profile kind of based off of someone, even though they do begin to learn with you, at the same time, I feel like people are constantly changing. Maybe AI would change with them, but I enjoy the wiping the slate clean type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like it too, just because it's the first app that I played with, because when I did log into it, it has you kind of make a basic profile to where it does, ask for like your date of birth, location, time, if you know it. And so it gave me like a reading of, okay, you're Scorpio and sun and moon and so forth. But the moment you log off of it, it's as if you were never using the app. It doesn't remember you, but you can save your data in like what Robert was alluding to, the DID spaces. So it's kind of a cool way to stay private, but still pick up where you left off. So it doesn't feel like you're having to put in that information over and over again. You just log in, Face ID, boom, and you're just back to where you were. And I don't know if it keeps the points. It might keep the points and so forth. But just the ability to come and go and not feel like I've sold myself and, some personal information to this app that I didn't want it to know where I was to some degree. Because like Robert says, if that gets compromised, it's, you're compromised.
Well, yeah, even beyond just the personal information, the software itself predicting like your life in general, I wouldn't want people to have that portion even more than my name and birthday.
Somebody could get behind there and start giving you the wrong predictions. That's pretty interesting.
Oh, that's scary.
Could there be like a bad AI astrology, or like a villain, a Darth Vader kind? Can there be bad astrologists, like astrologists
absolutely.
who are good,
yes.
but maybe want to be, they're good at predictions, but for the wrong reasons? I never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, there can be a really strong element, and this isn't any sort of form of divination. There can be a strong element of projection. I don't want to, I'm not speaking against or for anything. All I'm saying is that when I predict things for people, I leave as much room to free will as possible. I just tell them like what is going on around them. But that is something that is cool about AI, is that it does come from a place that's completely unbiased, at least if it's trained, in a way that is unbiased.
So it's interesting that even though I led a team to create Astro, and I'm really interested in astrology, I'm not a believer. I have to confess.
No.
I have to make a confession. I'm not a believer. But I can say what I think the astrology is, right? So I become interested in astrology, and when I was pretty young and just out of the school. But eventually I got this idea because I really like the stars, planets, and all those kind of not from the astrology point of view, but from the science point of view. I also have a telescope at the time. I watch the sky all the time. So when I see the astrology in the beginning in the university, at first I think this is purely fake, right? This is purely random, right? But then I began to kind of learn more. Oh, there's something interesting, right? Because it's not just because in the first when we get into the astrology, I only know it's about a sun sign and everything is the same. I think that couldn't be possible because there's billions of people in the world. How could there are only 12 signs, right? How could the people divide into this? But then when I get to understand more about the theory behind astrology, I think that's pretty interesting, because Lydia, you correct me if I'm wrong, right? So, let me say what my understanding of that. Right?
Oh, you're fine. I'm completely open to hearing anything.
Yeah. So my understanding is first of all, it's pretty interesting because the concept of this is basically say the human and the universe have some sort of a connection, right? So what connection we don't know, but it has some connection. I kind of agree, right? Everything in the world should have some connection. So since there's some connection, so each of the planets, right? So those planets are closer to our Earth, right? And also we live in the planet Earth, right? So it must have some connection with my personality, my future or past, right? So because astrology is based on the point that you born to observe the sky, right? Because we know that the planets are moving, right? Earth are moving, all the planets are moving, and also we know that when you're born in different place and different time, the position of each of the planet are actually very much different. That basically means is even though on the Earth there's billions of people, right? So there's almost nobody exactly matching your parameters based on those planets' position, unless that one is your twins, right? But even the twins, because you might have your birth time might have some different, right? Some of them are some of the difference probably does not make a big difference for the track, but some of them might make a big difference, right? So my understanding, for example, one thing is, for example, if even your birth time and the birth location is exactly the same, but your birth time have a few minutes different. Imagine for the time the sun is almost to the top of the sky. Every day we have the sun is rising and then it's going and then it's going down, right? Imagine at the noon, right? The noon is a point that before noon, the sun is rising, right? After noon, the sun is dropping, right? So if your birth time and just a few minutes, different, but the trend of the sun could be different, right? So a few minutes ago, the sun's trend is going up, but a few minutes later, the sun is going down, right? So even though the position is very close, but the trend is also different, right? So all of those kind of things mixed together, that actually created millions, billions of different combinations. So that is something that I feel really interesting. Am I correct? Because I constantly
no, yeah, you're doing great. I mean, I feel like I almost try to approach this more scientifically than you. I've gone to the point of, so we know that the moon influences the planet, right? The tides raise. Women experience feminine things due to the moon cycles. All of the planets within the sky emit frequency. They all have a base frequency ultimately. So I think that's just my interpretation. I've always seen it as a energetic thing, quite literally. Human beings are energy. That's been proven by physics. They've done a lot of scientific studies as well to try to prove astrology. I know one had to do with EMF, I do believe, or magnetism, geomagnetism in the brain or something like that. But it's so weird because I've had so many people send their significant others to me, people that were non-believers, and those are my favorite people to work with because I'm like, I will make you a believer.
So you think I'm a believer or not a believer or non-believer? I don't know.
No, I don't know if I see you're open to it. I think it's good to never believe in anything wholeheartedly. I don't even. I know that it works. I know that for me astrology is like a language, but I'm always questioning, even as the person that I am where I stand. I think questioning is good. I enjoy that you question.
Yeah, I think I know that I don't know, right? Because I think there must be something has a connection, but what is a connection? Does that have definite connection? I don't know. So I have this kind of idea of how to look at the astrology. I'm thinking the astrology. I'm sometimes I think the what astrology say is kind of like when you drive a car, right? It's kind of like a GPS. So GPS tell you, hey, if I want to go to from my home to the city center, the GPS sometimes route me a way to go, right? So I could. So first of all, it's I believe that astrology is not the fate, right? It does not, because for example, that's like GPS, right? I want to go to the city, right? It's not a GPS tell me go to the city. It's me. I want to go to the city. So GPS just give me a route, and that the GPS think based on the data, it thinks this is the best best way to go, right? But
Well,
it's my decision to go, right? It's not the GPS asked me to go.
yes, that's exactly where you can see what you mentioned about, the 12 different signs and there only being 12 different people. The signs ultimately, you can see that energy archetypically in people's personalities. But what you just mentioned about the GPS in general is exactly why there aren't just 12 different types of people, because we do have free will. It's the soul in whatever essence that is, our inner spark. That makes us who we are. So somebody born on the same day as you can be entirely different. I've had weird experiences with twins with that, where one twin is polar opposite. I get completely different reads when I'm reading both of them. But I love that you said GPS too, because I know that you're a Sagittarius,
Yes.
and that's very expansive. It's very, it just sounded very Sagittarius to me.
And also my moon is in Cancer, right?
Oh,
So
is it? That's
yes,
awesome.
so that's kind of that's a combination that makes me, because my sun is Sagittarius, but my moon is Cancer, and my accent is also Sagittarius. So make me looks like a Sagittarius.
I was real quick just going to say what you were alluding to, Robert. Even going back to your comment earlier, where you put a monkey in a box and he'll type out some bit of Shakespeare. I think Richard Dawkins is the one who has that quote. It might type out "methinks it's a weasel." And the other thing that I thought was interesting that he goes on to say is that anything from, like, say, a cell, when you study a cell, it's say anatomy, so to speak, is a piece of the larger system it's a part of. So if, say, you were able to take a bird, or like a bird got taken by an alien, and if the alien looked into the bird a little bit, it would be able to learn a lot about where the bird is from, that being planet Earth and so forth. And what I think is interesting is kind of like what you're saying, we might have this connection to the universe. And I completely agree with you, where if we have personality and we have this sense of something that there's more, obviously, it's probably because we, like a little cell, are in something much larger, similar to ourselves. So it's not too far to imagine that if we're a personality, maybe the universe has a personality as well, so to speak. And the importance of, like what you were saying, and Lydia was getting into with astrology, that being on Earth is completely different than being, say, in a different solar system, or kind of being in a different galaxy and so forth. So there very well could be a lot of important things that, just because you're on this planet and you're orbiting these specific planets around you, or these planets are orbiting you, and our star is not just any star but the sun. It might look like any other star, but in many ways it's also not. Where it's almost human, I think, in some ways, to imagine us not just in a random spot, but in a very specific spot, even down to our birth. So I'm not too surprised that we are curious about our origins, and why here and not there, why now and not then, so to speak. But personally, yeah, I didn't really give astrology too much credence, and then I always, like, look up something. I'm like, how does this thing know me? Like, how does it know that's how I am in certain ways? And that's the thing that kind of keeps me coming back, so to speak, is the peculiarness of it. There is, like, a mystery, just like how there's a mystery to everything. It's like I don't really know how it could describe really specific ways of my personality by describing the planets. And I'm kind of getting at, maybe it's because the planets, again, they have a personality, or everything together has a personality, so it's reflective in ours. And I'm like, as big, so below, in that kind of a sense. But yeah, I was like, dude, there's definitely something here. But I also do sit a little bit more with Robert. I need to be proven a little bit more.
I think one of the things, and I mean, this is something that I stand on as an astrologer, beyond the magic of it all, because a lot of people do see like a lot of mysticism in astrology. What astrology has the ability to promote in anybody is consciousness, ultimately, especially if you're, I mean, the app itself, well, no, it is actually, it has the educational proponent as well. Just bringing to light like these different archetypes within you. It's like you connect with that and you find certain pieces of yourself ultimately that you weren't aware of. And that alone like has the ability to do so much for humans as a whole, to make them aware, self-aware.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, definitely. I think, especially now, it's important that maybe we kind of remind ourselves that we are conscious and there is a spark in us, some kind of a divinity, a sanctity, so to speak, that especially I don't know, new age stuff, I'm not too intrigued by, because they just are, they're pretty new, so they haven't had thousands of years of development. And one thing I like about astrology is it does come from the ancient world. So this is one of the first things humans got to do when they started thinking a little bit more and building civilization, building societies. And while we were looking at the stars for the very first time, we were like, well, maybe this means something to us. And it's pretty cool to know that that's one of the few things we started thinking about. How does all this relate to us as humans, separate from the animals?
Well, astrology too, one of the interesting things about it is that it really does, like, it has evolved with time. Like, astrology dates all the way back to ancient Babylonia, ultimately. But people used it obviously for different reasons. Like in the beginning, the ancients were like monitoring the stars and like eclipses and stuff like that because they were like petrified that the world was going to end or something. So they were like watching for all these signs. They consulted the stars before they began wars, before they began all kinds of stuff. And it's really changed a lot over the course of time, definitely. But it like continues to ever evolve. And I wonder how AI and technology in general will factor into that evolution.
Yeah, actually, I think computer is actually helping astrology a lot, right? Because imagine that before computer is invented, how hard is
Oh my
astrology
God.
could be, right? You must be a real scientist to be able to draw all those charts, right?
You
Yes,
gotta be
yeah,
on your
no.
dot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be exhausting.
Probably, computer is probably the single most important tools for any astrologer today, because now you can just enter some parameters, right? It's get you the chart instantly, and so that's why I believe 100 years ago, astrologists could only work for super rich people or work for the king, because as a as a peasant, right? You don't have that kind of luxury to have somebody to do all those kind of computation for you, because that's so hard, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, it's weird because there is so many different this is where I'm crazy, but I swear it helped me in my career. There's so many ways of calculating transitory stuff. I mean, there's astrology software that's upwards of, $200-300 a year to own, and they give you charts and reports and all this stuff. I calculate everything by hand.
Oh, you calculate everything by hand.
I do, and I think that it made me better at what I do, even though it sounds like very masochistic to a lot of people to put yourself through that. But I don't know, I just always enjoyed calculating things by hand as opposed to relying on technology, because there was a very gray period where it wasn't you're going off of a computer's idea of what it is that people should look at, and I wanted to give people my own representation of what I could tell was important to them, not just a report ultimately.
Oh, cool, interesting. So that's back to one of the questions also you asked. Is so when we say we use the data from the real-time data from NASA to correct things, is from my understanding is because when the astrology was invented many years ago at the time, and it's all based on observation of those kind of planets movements, and there is not that accurate. So most of those kind of formula that you use to calculate the planets going to have some shift over time, right? But the modern astrology program is basically, most of them are using the real-time data
Yeah, that is something that's awesome about AI as opposed to old astrology software.
Yeah. So that makes it more accurate to reflect what the real universe looks like. And if you purely use a formula that from the old books is not good, it's going to have some different. And right now, most of those data is based on the correction through those kind of observation real-time data to correct it, right? But does that make a big difference? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either, but for whatever reason, it makes me believe it a little bit further. And I think maybe that's where, kind of like how you asked Lydia earlier on, I don't think AI astrology or AI and astrology will say replace every human astrologist, because the human does have that intuition. It kind of has that, like she was saying, that's I don't know, that insight that maybe a machine just doesn't have because it's not really alive. But for the most part, I think it can be scalable because now there's a little bit of a, I don't know, a mathematics backing it, and so people could get onto it a little bit easier. Like I see so many people who spend thousands and thousands of dollars on self-help books or talking to therapists and trying to better understand why am I like this or why do I feel this way. And I mean, generally what I see them do, because I've met a few people who do go to therapists and stuff, and I'm like, what do you guys talk about? And I'm like, you guys are basically just having the same conversation I have with the AI stroke. I'm curious about maybe what the future is, and I'm curious, why do I feel this way? And it gives you a breakdown from, your creative side to your sexual side and so forth. And I'm like, this is a product I think, in high demand, and nobody realizes it just yet. It's an application that really everyone low key, maybe not openly, but secretly wants, which is somebody to talk to that's not entirely themselves, but can understand them in ways that makes them feel special. And astrology has a unique way of kind of like religion in some respect, making the person feel special and raising them especially nowadays when we live in a materialistic world, everyone thinks, all that matters is the matter. And it's really cool to be introduced into something that, again, has some mathematics to it, like you were saying, has some computations, but has that mystical side to it. And you can, talk to it, glean something from it, and go on with your day. I might have felt like, I don't know if today is maybe the best day to do a live stream, but actually maybe it is. Maybe Astro is right. And so it changes your mood a little bit. And it's not to say it's in control of you, but it allows you to, I don't know, stop being so, and I have a problem with doing that, like being introverted. I'm like down on myself a little bit too much sometimes. So it's cool to hear from somebody like, hey, this is going to be a good day. Even if they're just like blowing smoke, it might change your day. And I like that.
It's interesting that you mentioned therapy because Carl Jung utilized astrology with psychology, and he had like a lot of really cool work. But I had one of my long-term clients not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, message me and asked me, is astrology like therapy? And I was like, it is kind of beginning to feel a little bit more like that. But I think one of the things that is cool about using astrology from the standpoint of self-help is that it doesn't label you as messed up. It doesn't say, here, you need to take this pill, you have this disorder. It says, hey, you need to do better.
Exactly. It's just the medical,
yeah.
aspect of it. And I feel like that's kind of not good to just, hey, you're down. Well, here's some, medicine, and maybe you'll feel up. It's like, I think we could do better for humans at large.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And actually, do you guys know that AI was first invented actually for the therapy? So
Oh,
the first
no.
AI bot called Elisa. So I think that's in 1950 something or 1960s. So that's the
Hmm.
first chatbot that created. So the purpose of creating that chatbot. So the chatbot has a name called Elisa. So Elisa's purpose is try to be a therapist to talk to the patient, right? But at that point, when people have the Elisa, they realize that have not non-intelligent or half stupid, half dumb at the point the computer is, because you can quickly figure out this is not like a real human, right? Not a real therapist. And then after so many years, AI. So there's a famous test called a Turing test. The Turing test is
Yes.
basically when you're talking to something, and then you, as a human, you cannot figure out that a computer or a human, and then that means it passed the Turing test. There are people talking about can GPT-4 pass the Turing test. I don't see a report say somebody say it might be able, but at least I believe right now is not yet, right? But it's getting
Same.
closer.
It's interesting that you said that about therapy bots because that is actually something that I've thought a lot about. I know that they have the emotionally like considerate ones like the replica bot. But I feel like at least the person that I am, I don't know, I would enjoy the anonymousness of being able to talk to AI if it was able to give good input and I needed a therapist. Like knowing that I could tell it anything, it's not going to judge me. It's going to, do its best to uplift me, and it has a huge data set to do so. And I don't necessarily trust the educational backgrounds of a lot of people in the psych field at this point.
I
Like
think
that,
definitely. I think definitely astrology has a lot to do with the therapist, right? So make you feel better. I don't know how the people, young people here in U.S. get to know astrology, but when back to the day in China, when we get know to astrology, it's mostly because when they're young, people care about love, right? Is that boy, is that girl is good, and will we be together? And people are so unpredictable, they becoming nervous, right? But then there's astrology. So, you have this sign, she have that sign, and then you're good couples, and people feel so relaxed. That's how a lot of Chinese in my generation get to know this, I believe.
Yes, I mean, a lot of clients that come to me, that is always something. Synastry, how me and this person would work out together. Can you tell me what my ideal match is like? All of that. So I think it's probably similar, but also a lot of young people who are trying to find their place in this world and find what their purpose is and follow kind of their own true north. Astrology can assist you with that as well, and uncovering that.
I've noticed, generally, being a young person here in the West, the only time I really looked into astrology was when I was like, and what's funny is it reassuring, or are you just hoping it's reassuring when you come across it? Like, is this person a match for me? And it's in regards to love, so to speak. But I've always noticed, I don't know why. I mean, our education systems here are phenomenal in some respect, but a lot of the coolest things, like how you mentioned Carl Jung, I remember when I was taking a psychology class, and I mean, we learned about Freud, we learned about, all the obvious or the usual suspects when it comes to psychology. But to mention Carl Jung or even to bring him up is almost like blasphemy. And I'm like, dude, he was actually coming up with some of the coolest stuff that spoke to me. Why don't we teach about him more so? And I find astrology, along with a lot of interesting educational and informational disciplines, are restricted from the youth over here. They're looked at as like, that's a waste of time, don't go into that. And I'm like, dude, no wonder I feel kind of like empty inside. You filled my brain with, a lot of numbers, so to speak, and a lot of facts, but it still doesn't answer the most like perennial questions in my heart. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing here, and what's interesting is you're not the first one to think those things. People have been thinking those things for a while now, and it's really cool to see what other people were thinking. And astrology is one of the attempts to try to answer some big questions in a fascinating way, and it's just disregarded. But it's only used for like, should I hook up with this person, or is this person going to be toxic in my life, depending on their astrology sign? And it's like, no, maybe it's more than that. And maybe, maybe it's not good to just look at it as a sexual thing, and I wish we didn't. But who knows? Maybe that'll change with AI stuff.
This is going to sound so bad, but I'm going to say it anyways. When it comes to an esoteric, concept like astrology, but I mean anything esoteric, I even mean like a lot of philosophical concepts. I feel like a lot of this is kept from people because there's people that don't want people to become conscious, to become enlightened. I feel like for so many years, like these topics were reserved to certain secret sects of society, and like that's not 2023. Like, people are wanting this information, they're wanting to become enlightened ultimately, but I still feel like there is like people that don't want us to do that.
There's some kind of a means by which where I feel like at a mass scale we're being deprived, because the more I research like even the area of the Enlightenment, from Nietzsche to Kierkegaard to even like Immanuel Kant, and then even going all the way back to the the philosophers of old, Plato, Socrates, and whichever. I'm like, when you really read some of the stuff these guys were saying, like they were hitting it on the ball. And throughout my entire 12 years of education at high school or at school, I didn't really go to college. I wasn't too intrigued to do so. But I was like, why has nobody ever taught me this stuff? Like, this is the stuff I was really looking to learn. And if you would have taught me a little bit more of this stuff on the side, I would have paid attention a little bit more on the other stuff.
Right.
And so it feels, I don't know, it feels in some ways a bit let down or disappointing that we have a plethora of philosophical, theological, or esoteric knowledge, and it's just kept from the masses.
I think this is something that artificial intelligence is really going to assist in breaking the mold in relation to. And I can see that just by what Robert has done. Like for me personally, my biggest like excitement isn't even like knowing that, well, obviously, I mean, as an astrologer, I don't want to be replaced, but it's more so like I'm excited about the educational component. Like I have so many clients that come to me and ask me, can you teach courses? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I'm like, I don't have the time to do this. But artificial intelligence has the ability to bring that education to people. When he showed me the voice model, I was like, that would be so incredible with educational material. Like it will literally sit there and have a conversation and teach somebody what they want to learn.
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, I think I think definitely right now today's large language model in AI is not going to replace person, but I think it's the best way for using AI today is actually become a so-called co-pilot. The co-pilot, for example, the Astro itself. If you look at Astro itself, the astrologer side of the Astro is basically like a kindergarten level. It's kindergarten level. But what is an expert at is, first of all, is a computer model to kind of calculate all of those kind of diagram, all of those kind of charts. So that's automatic, right? And the second part of that is it's used large language model to interpret things, even though the interpreting skill is a kindergarten level, but the write-up, right? The write-up is good, and also it has a lot of kind of a basic knowledge, right? For example, when I built this because I kind of remembered the day when I'm interested in the astrology, right? So my biggest problem is not kind of reading those kind of reports, but I don't understand what's the report saying, right? It said what is a sun sign, right? For example, I can ask Astro, hey Astro, what is a sun sign means, and also what is a moon sign means, right? So when I talk to the Astro, so Astro going to be able to kind of listen to it, right? Right now it's using Whisper to basically try to kind of understand what I'm talking, and then it's going to come back with a voice or the message, right? So basically, Astro is perfect to explain to me the best concept, what this is, right? So as just like Lydia said, so for a client, you can use AI to let them to interpret the report that a professional astrologist created, and let that AI try to explain to you, hey, what exactly this means. Or sometimes the client might have a very specific question based on this kind of report, right? So the AI could be perfectly based on the report a professional astrologist created, and they answer these client's questions, right? For example,
I was just gonna say that's honestly my biggest problem is not knowing really what it's telling me. Like it sounds sensible, but I don't know the specific language points or the definitions of some of these things. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Robert.
Yeah.
Astrology is such a comprehensive, and that is exactly what I'm excited about with AI and astrology merging, is to be able to refer people here, go here. This will literally teach you all of these concepts.
Yeah, I think in the next move for Astro, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to make the Astro more a co-pilot for you, Lydia. So that you can have your own knowledge, your own secret, right? Your own experience. You teach the part of AI that specifically work for you, right? It's not going to contribute to public. It's also definitely not going to give to OpenAI, but that's your expertise. But then you can teach the AI to learn your expertise, and that kind of become your co-assistant or your co-pilot.
I would love that.
Serve better for the client. And every astrologist, as every astrologer, can have their own edition of this AI co-pilot, right?
I was going to ask, does that peer into like basically the AI agents aspect of it? Would you consider a co-pilot an AI agent?
Yes, I think the AI agent is a co-pilot, right? So there's going to be many different type of agent. Some, for example, this co-pilot agent is astrologist co-pilot agent, right? There could be other agent that is helping me to writing, for example, writing business proposals, right? and another agent help me to do the therapist, right? So in the future, imagine you can have multiple different agents. Each of the agent has a different expertise to help you, and also you can have an agent to represent you, to help you to screen all of those offers, all of those requests from you to decide. Imagine you just have a super assistant. The assistant know you, know what you like, what you don't like, know what you can afford, what you cannot, right? And it also
This is something I've been talking about for a while too.
Yeah,
Wanting one of these.
This is going to happen,
right?
Yeah, I kind of think of it about like the Matrix, and maybe I'm not using a good analogy, but how like there's the agents, a part of the machine or a part of the Matrix, like Agent Smith, who is always after Neo, and calls him Mr. Anderson. What I always imagined is like, okay, well, you're Neo, but now instead of battling an agent, he's on your side now. You can send him to take on the Matrix along with you, and he represents you. And just that idea is completely mind-blowing. I'm like, I guess the Matrix wasn't entirely off the wall, since now we're starting to build agents.
I think that's an important part of the decentralization or centralization, right? So AI, when AI becomes super powerful, and then there's a problem people are talking about, right? So I think what's important is when AI become more popular and more useful, I think that all of us going to everybody began to more and more realize how important the decentralization, how important the self-sovereign is important to them. Because before that, when even the blockchain, the cryptocurrency, people are talking about, hey, you need to own your identity, you own your data. But if you ask a general average people say, I don't care about privacy, I don't care about data, because I don't know how to use it. It's too hard, right? But in the future, when the decentralized application become easier and easier, and when the AI become more and more powerful, and you don't want the AI who represents you, it belongs to Facebook or belongs to US government, right? Because otherwise you are completely represented by a large company or a government. You need the AI agent is completely loyalty to you, right? Your agent is completely loyalty to you. My agent is completely loyal to me, right? So our two agents going to purely represent its owners. So there's no kind of remember in the AI, there's also say dilemma, which is called the cable car, right? Imagine you are on the train, and the train is there's a people on the track, right? But there's a left to right. You can choose to turn left to kill the left side of people, or you can turn right to kill the right side people, and which side to choose, right? So it said this is a dilemma because the computer, neither choice is supposed not the computer to decide who to kill, right? So that is considering the AI is from the like the God point of view. But imagine this AI is by you. I would say each of the AI should only be responsible for the owner, right? If this is AI in your car, the car should think first is protect your own safety, and then everything else is secondary, right? But there's an AI on that track. There are also the AI on each of the person who are in the danger. Each of those agents are going to thinking independently how to keep my owner safe, and then they collaboratively make a decision what to do. Right, so I think that's the right way to do. It's not we give everything away to the large company or the government.
I love that idea, because I don't know, I feel like more than ever a lot of people have revoked their identities for larger communities and larger groups. Kind of like how I know we were saying the other day, that's kind of a problem in China to some degree, or kind of in any communist primarily community cultured society, where they ask you to remove your individual, say, sovereignty and give sovereignty to the state. And as we move more and more into a future where it does look like a 1984, where they're going to be asking us to, hey, give us your sovereignty for peace and safety and security, it's for your good. I actually do want some people on my side. And it's like it comes down to almost like a gangster mentality. Like, I only honestly trust myself to some degree. So it'd be great to multiply me by like 10. So then I have other people I can interact with. It's not to say I don't trust anybody. There are some good people I know, and I thank God that I know them. But, especially on the internet, there's so many ways bots or NPCs can just overpower you in a lot of ways. So it's kind of cool to know that you have some loyal soldiers like backing you, and they won't use their amazing capacities to further destroy you or destroy your reputation. They'll defend you even if it means eradication or something, you know. And that kind of has like a human component to it. I wonder if you built that, you know, I don't know. I guess it's almost like a dog, you know, but then dogs are alive, but they have this deep loyalty to the human. And that's what's beautiful about animals in some respect and dogs. So I wonder if at that point, if you make an AI very loyal to a human, is it starting to be a little bit more sentient? I don't know.
I've been sitting here like having this like quantum moment where I'm like, okay, agents. So we're basically going to replicate ourselves in some capacity. If we're training it, like this is a replica in some way. Is this how we live on forever? What happens if we die? It doesn't die, right?
That is peculiar. That's like an immortality thing. What would you say to that, Robert? Like, do you think the AI agents will be us in a great degree, or they'll be just like 1% of 100% of us?
From my viewpoint point of view, I think the AI agent is always going to, is not going to be me. It's not going to be a replica of myself. It's because I still am myself, right? So I want the AI agent to be an assistant for me, right? So it know me, it know my, know a lot of things. It help me to screen. It help me to make recommendations, right? So, for example, in the past, when the Facebook and Twitters, the problem for the Facebook, next year, like again, there's election years that come again. The problem of those AIs for the Facebook and Twitter is it screen the information for you. It help you, it make decision for you, but not based on your interest, right? It's based on some certain other purpose. But the future AI agent, if you do it right, I think is only represent yourself, right? Imagine I have a super assistant. When your agent come to reach my agent, oh, I know this is my friends, right? So they're going to be very friendly, and all your information pass through. And when some other guys try to reach me, and the agent is going to be able to automatically screen if that guy is legit or not, right? If the guy sounds to be legit, my agent probably going to alert me quick. Hey, so it looks like this is somebody that you want to talk to, right? Imagine like Bill Gates want to reach me. He's not my friend, right? But Bill Gates say, hey, I really want to get to know what ArcBlock is doing. And this agent figure out, okay, this is sounds to be somebody, and he's also try to automatically screen, is that a joke or is that a real person, right? And then it figure out, okay, this is a real Bill Gates, want to reach ArcBlock, right? And then the agent can alert me because they think this is valuable for me, and then it can quickly connect it. But somebody else try to fake to be somebody, and the AI agent can figure out, no, this is not sound to be legit. It's automatically screened, right? It's basically like a very smart, very powerful assistant for everybody.
Gotcha. It feels like a verification process too on like another level.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Yeah.
So that's why decentralized identity, blockchain, verifiable credentials, and AI, all of those are going to work together in the future. So that's why, by the way, you know that the Astro app is actually a DApps that is built together with blockchain, with decentralized identity, and with the AI. But it appeared to be just a very simple, user-friendly, iPhone and Android apps. But actually, the background is a DApps.
Yeah. I remember asking you that, and you were like, you're kind of surprised that I knew that somehow. I don't know how I knew that actually, but I asked you. I was like, this is blockchain technology, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the best app that I've used in all the space that represents like a cool, blockchain application. Because like I've always noticed is everything's about like a financial means, and this is a cool abstract, not entirely use this and you'll make money. Stake your coins in this wallet kind of a thing. And it's just amazing. And I'm glad to be a part of a community that, you guys are one of the first people to make a real product, a real app. And it feels like I'm just using some, any other Apple app, but I'm getting everything that I'm really looking for when it comes to blockchain, which is privacy of data. And if anything, an application that isn't like selling, again, my data on the back end without me knowing. But it feels like it feels Web 2, but it's entirely from its ground up Web 3. And I think it's the first one I found like that. So it's really cool you guys have made it. People are sleeping on ArcBlock. I just don't understand how people are so fascinated. I mean, I do understand it. Everyone wants to make money, so they want the pumps, but people are sleeping on the components that you guys are building.
Cool. Thanks
Robert,
a lot. Yeah. Mhm.
can I ask you to, because I might have some people that listen to this as well. I wanted to ask you to potentially describe or explain the importance of decentralization with the kind of upcoming technological advances that we are going to be experiencing and are now. Because I feel like you said, a lot of like everyday people don't realize why you don't want your data out there. So can you like go into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I think first of all, like we are actually the human are decentralized, right? So that's I think that our human society is very much decentralized, and also decentralization and centralization is not like absolute. It's kind of relative, right? So it's just more kind of centralized or less centralized or more decentralized, right? So today when we talk about a decentralization, decentralized vacations, I think is we were mostly talking about a few things. First is a decentralized identity, which is also a self-sovereign identity, which means I should be able to own um, all my identity, my identifier, my identity, my account, and the balance of my account independently, not controlled by others, right? Let's say, for example, the Facebook account, the Twitter account, right, is not self-sovereign because Twitter can take down our account, right? They can force us locked out to our account. Facebook can take down our account, right? But we, everybody as a human, in a perfect world, we have human right, and nobody can. Every human right is bound to equal, and there's nobody can say, "Hey, you're Robert. You cannot be a human." Yeah. So I exist, right? And also the identifier is basically like my name. I call myself Robert Mao. You know what is cool thing is for Chinese when I born in China. So my name is I picked my name myself, right?
I had a
What?
feeling. I know that this is the thing.
Yeah, because
My mom did a lot of work in China and she told me this.
Mhm. Yeah.
I did not know that.
And also, you see, so the name is basically like your identifier. People identify me as Robert, right? But I can call myself Michael or somebody else because this is purely on my decision, right? So decentralized identity is also kind of give this choice. You are not. You remember how many times you try to reach some service, say, "Hey, Wasso is not no longer available. How about use Wasso 1 2 3 4," right?
It's annoying.
Yeah, it's very bad. But with the decentralized identity identifier, you can pick your name yourself. And more important, your asset, right? So the cryptocurrency is the first thing that is make sure that your digital asset is only controlled by your private key, right? Nobody else. Even the developer who created this cryptocurrency, even those miners who are running this cryptocurrency network, even the government, they cannot take away your digital asset on the blockchain unless you give away your private key, right? Otherwise, there's no way for them to enforce that. So that's basically all those ideas of this decentralization is basically let we as a human control more data, identity, asset, everything on our own better. So that's kind of that's compared to the centralized applications like today, your Gmail, your Google account, your bank account, everything is kind of controlled by somebody else.
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So I think is so yeah we can I believe we can talk on and on, but unfortunately it's the time. And for anybody who are interested in Astro, so it's in App Store. Just go to the Apple or Android's App Store and try to search Astro, and you will be able to download the app for free. And we'll keep improving the applications, and hopefully someday to become your assistant, Lydia. It's not going to you're not going to take your job away. Instead, you are going to have a great assistant.
I think that's awesome. I'm so excited for the future of AI in general. I'm excited to see what will happen with astrology. I can't say for certain just by watching how quickly AI has advanced that at some point it will not take people's jobs. in the astrology field, but I can say that it's the future regardless, whether or not we want it to be. And so the best thing that other astrologers can do is try to utilize this technology as much as possible themselves.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. Yeah. I think sometimes I say AI itself does not take your job. It's somebody else. It's somebody else who are capable to use AI take your job.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely. I just want to say as like a closing remark, I really appreciate talking with you too. It was super insightful, and I hope people found it interesting and entertaining. And I'm completely bullish on the future as well for AI and just blockchain, decentralized identities, self-sovereign identities, and really how ArcBlock is trying to compose all those things together in a user-friendly manner. I've yet to experience something where I'm using literally every single one of the technologies we're talking about here at my fingertips right now. I don't think I could go to any other platform or any other place where it's giving me that opportunity. And it's giving me the opportunity to use it in a way that I think is beneficial for myself as Wassel and the for society at large. So I am 100% bullish on ArcBlock, to say the least.
Thank you.
That's not financial advice, though.
Everybody that I have met that is in support or knows you, Robert, has been such a great person. So yeah, I think if anything, like I'm really enjoying the community that you have built for yourself, the people that you're surrounded by, good people.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot. Someday I would definitely ask you for your personal human astrology reading for what I'm doing. What is it? Is this product going to fly?
Yes, just come find me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's a great talk, and thank you guys for coming. And yeah, so let's say
Thank
goodbye
you.
to the audience.
Bye.
Bye.
Later, guys. See y'all.
Awesome. Let's stop streaming. Okay, streaming is stopped.
Okay.